In front of this abortion facility here in Oakland, California, pro-lifers have been forced to forego their First Amendment rights by the City Council. One pastor who offers alternatives and services for women going in has actually been thrown in jail. Stay tuned for this amazing story. Reverend Walter Hoye is the founder of the Issues for Life Foundation. He's also the executive elder of the Progressive Missionary Baptist Church in Berkeley, California. 3 years ago, Walter began offering sidewalk counseling to women considering abortion outside the Family Planning Specialist Medical Group. This is an abortion facility located in Oakland, California. Walter was moved to offer to help the many African American women who are being targeted by the facility. Along with 2 elderly members of his church, Walter would offer information and counseling services to women unaware of the devastating effects of abortion.
I loved being out there on the sidewalk. I loved being involved in reaching our people going into the clinic with the truth about what abortion really is. And oftentimes the women would stop just simply because they see an African American pastor standing on the sidewalk and they want to know why I was there, and of course that would be the perfect intro into the discussion. My message was simply this: God loves you and your baby, let us help you. And as a member of a church, I had the ability to literally help the women right there on the sidewalk, and we could help them with almost anything they were facing. In addition to that, we were partnering with a pregnancy center that offered doctors, nurses, ultrasound, and got even into long-term care, long-term solutions regarding this issue. So we had a wide range of alternatives that were readily available to us. So when we were on the sidewalk, we were really ready to help people.
Do you ever see this aha moment where the light bulb comes on and the women realize that they're talking about and considering 2 lives, not just one?
Yes, there comes a point in time where the woman will say, well, can you show me what an abortion looks like? And at that point, we can. We fold over the flap and they can see the picture of an actual abortion. And at that point, you can just see the flush go right through their face. And they're shaking their head saying, no way, I cannot do this.
So then everything changes at that point. It's a whole different scenario for them.
The conversation changes dramatically. I'm no longer trying to help someone see how horrible this is. They have seen it. They completely agree with it. We're now talking about what we can do to make sure this never happens to their baby.
Walter's impact reaches further than just counseling women who are considering abortion. Treva Reed consented to 4 abortions as a young adult. Before meeting Walter, she was dealing with the pain that comes with post-abortive grief. Through Walter's help, she found freedom and gained the courage to speak out about her experience. Treva now works side by side with Walter, meeting with churches about abortion issues and coordinating counseling for post-abortive women. So your partnership with Walter Hoye comes from a very personal point of view.
Absolutely, it does.
Does that put a passion in your heart that maybe others wouldn't have?
It puts a real passion in my heart because it is personal. When you've experienced aborting your children and you've realized the magnitude of that decision on you, on your family, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your mental health, and you've seen how it's played a part and taken a part of your life in some respects with relationships around you, it makes it more personal for you in how you move forward. And I think what amazes me about the relationship that I have with Walter and his wife Lori is that not only did I learn how to move forward in sharing my passion, I think that I'm gaining from them a strategy with what it is I'm called to do concerning the unborn child, and specifically concerning a particular segment of the population, the African American people that I can relate more closely with and prayerfully will be able to speak more directly to.
What impact do you think Reverend Hoye has had on you personally regarding your process of healing from those abortions?
To know that you're free and to walk out being free and then to live free is totally different. And I think I've gone from just walking in a freedom and enjoying some sense of peace and knowing that the Lord has forgiven me and that I'm healed, to now being more actively involved to helping other women walk it out. And working with Walter has helped me to do that, even in my own community. I'm encouraged in how I've grown through working with him to really walk out my freedom and to help others and to speak more passionately and not passively about the experiences that I've had and the truth about abortion and the unborn child and the effects of abortion on women.
When we return, we'll hear the incredible story of Walter's battle against the city of Oakland.
Whether you're a student needing answers, a parent needing help, or a concerned citizen wanting to make a difference, Life Issues Institute has the resources you need to put your values into action. Life Issues Institute is an international educational organization committed to protecting innocent human life. Life Issues Institute knows what it takes. That's why millions throughout the world turn here for help. Life Issues Institute has authored more pro-life publications than any other entity in the world, and its materials are printed in over 30 languages. Radio broadcasts, newsletters, and a website filled to the brim with the answers you're looking for are just a click away. Go to facinglife.tv and click on the link to Life Issues Institute to find out more about how you can change the heart of a nation.
In 2007, Oakland City Council began talks to institute a law that would prohibit sidewalk counselors from offering help to women outside of abortion facilities. When Walter heard this news, he and the elderly women who counsel with him attended the City Council meeting to protest this action. The new law, called the Bubble Ordinance, applies within 100 feet of abortion facilities. It prohibits sidewalk counselors from getting within 8 feet of women entering any local abortion business. But it only prohibits pro-life activists from talking with the women. This law gave the abortion facility escorts the right to block Walter's sign and make it nearly impossible for him to communicate with any of the women entering the building.
That I didn't breach, I didn't get closer than 8 feet. As a matter of fact, it was almost impossible for me to get closer than 8 feet because I'm surrounded by the escorts who are there to not only block my message, they block my body, they block my sign, and they've made it extremely difficult for us to have this conversation. I've had escorts put the sign right in my face, and that's clearly an aggressive move. And they would do that even when there was no one coming into the clinic. So even though there was nobody coming into the clinic did not want my message to get out to even people driving by, even people walking by in the neighborhood. This is how aggressive the abortion clinic experts were here in Oakland.
Frustrated by Walter's peaceful persistence, the Family Planning Specialist Medical Group was looking for any means to stop him. Walter was arrested on May 13th of 2008 outside the abortion facility for violating the Bubble Ordinance. After a 13-day trial in December, Walter was sentenced to spend 30 days in jail.
I was in jail on a 30-day sentence, 19 days. I didn't really know that even though they assign you 30 days in jail, you don't actually serve your full time. I was really grateful to get out of jail. We did a lot of great work while we were in jail in terms of doing the work of the evangelists there. But nevertheless, I couldn't have been happier the day I got out. But while I was there, I led 8 men to Christ. I ministered to several jailhouse preachers, if you will. We had prayer at midnight like Paul and Silas. Every night we were there. And then finally, on the very last days that I was there, I tore down a shrine to pornography, and that was perhaps my most difficult moment in jail, to tear that shrine down.
Now, what kind of cellmates did you have? Were we talking about violent criminals?
Some of them were violent. Yeah, some of them have been to jail several times. We're talking about drug offenses. We're talking about more physical offenses.
So here you were offering help and assistance and pastoral care to women who were desperately in need, and you were treated like a violent criminal.
Oh, I was. And it was even something the guards struggled with. Even while I was there, the guards just really couldn't believe why I was in jail to begin with. Initially, they didn't believe it, but they have access to the records. And when they saw the records, they were astonished.
Dion Evans is the senior pastor at the Chosen Vessels Christian Church in Alameda, California. As a close friend of Walter, Dion took it upon himself to continue Walter's pro-life work. He's also seen the effect Walter's actions have had on the Oakland community.
We did vigils. We held press conferences, and we put that information out on the World Wide Web through YouTube and places of that nature. We wrote articles for the local papers. And we had every Sunday that he was in jail, we held a prayer vigil outside that jail. We just assembled people out there in front of the jail. The warden's assistants came out to talk to us. I said, this is what we're doing. Let me tell you who you got in there. Let me tell you how important he is to us, and that's why we're here. And they didn't bother us. They just let us do our thing. And we had every week a greater crowd was gathering. And then eventually they released Walter before the 30 days was up. Walter proved that it doesn't matter if your character is assassinated or you go to jail. What will you go to jail for, and what will your character be assassinated about? And when you stand for principles, you can go to jail with your head high. When you stand for principles, you can allow your character to be smeared. And because he is still pressing this issue, people are starting to realize that this isn't about sensationalism. This isn't about him making a name for himself. This is not about, him being somebody's front man. This is an issue that's really important to him, and clergy all over the Bay Area are starting to really take notice, and conversations are starting to change regarding his position and his resolve. And I think in the next couple weeks, you're going to start seeing some massive movement in the pro-life movement because of and directly tied to Walter Hoye.
When we return, we'll investigate how the Bubble Ordinance is a direct violation of freedom of speech.
Thank you for inviting us into your home. Each week we feature real people who deal with real-life issues head-on. Some of their experiences are uplifting, while others will break your heart. But in the end, the message is clear. Those who follow biblical principles on the issues of life are blessed. Become a partner with us in providing a positive, life-affirming message to help change the way the next generation values innocent human life. Please consider a generous gift to help offset the costs of producing this important quality programming. You can donate on our secure website at facinglife.tv or by calling the phone number on your screen during normal business hours. Together, we can make a real difference for life.
Mike Millen is an affiliate attorney for the Life Legal Defense Foundation. He's been representing Walter throughout his legal battle with the City of Oakland. Mr. Millen addresses the constitutionality of the Bubble Ordinance and how it clearly favors the demands of the abortion facility. He also explains how the law's sole discrimination against pro-life advocates is a violation of the First Amendment right to free speech.
So you have these women who are going into a clinic, they're abortion-minded, they're strongly considering abortion. A lot of them don't have any options. They don't know what other options are out there. Reverend Hoye can't step and hand them a leaflet unless he first gets permission to get near them to hand the leaflet. But he can't get permission because you can't have a conversation with the person in this frame of mind walking into a clinic from 10 or 15 feet away. In addition, there are these pro-choice protesters, who we call escorts, who actually block Reverend Hoye, hold signs in front of him, and they'll zoom up to the woman going into the clinic and immediately start talking to her. And the City of Oakland has excused their speech, saying they just facilitate access. So nothing can be done about them. In the meantime, Reverend Hoye is stuck far outside this zone of conversation, unable to get a word in edgewise, let alone get permission to approach. Of course, all of us want to avoid harassment. The tricky part is how you define the word. Under the city's ordinance, the definition of harassing is handing out a leaflet to someone going into the clinic. I mean, once you define harassment as something that broad, then the words become meaningless. The problem is that the ordinance bans speech, and that's the harassing part.
Our producer's attempts to get comments from the abortion facility were soundly rejected.
The law really only applies to persons of my viewpoint.
So it's content related.
It's content related, it's viewpoint discrimination. Essentially, the law actually says this: if I was a doctor, a nurse, or employee, or even a volunteer off the street, the law would not apply to them. They have the permission of the clinic. And so perhaps if I was passing out strip club invitations, perhaps if I was passing out condoms, I might have the consent of the clinic, and so the law would not apply to me. But since I did not have the consent of the clinic to be on a public sidewalk in the city of Oakland, the law did apply to me. So where I could not get closer than 8 feet, to where I had to be careful about my signs and literature and having conversations, the abortion clinic escorts, just volunteers, could walk right up to the woman and do what anybody does in the United States of America when they're willing or wanting to have a conversation with someone.
How has the abortion facility influenced the outcome of all of this?
In the same way that a lobbyist influences the outcome of legislation. It's been incredible. We received emails that were previously secret that show the abortion facility was communicating with the district attorney and the city attorney to try to put together an arrest of Walter Hoye to figure out what can we do in order to stop Walter Hoye. Reverend Hoye was following all the rules. This was so frustrating to the abortion clinic that here is a man handing out literature, sometimes having a tremendous effect that women decide they're not going to have an abortion, but he doesn't break any rules. So just like in the Bible story of Daniel, they concoct to have this wacky rule placed that violates free speech rights, get the guy arrested and convicted, and congratulate themselves on what a fine job they've done for the community.
The abortion industry has never been about pro-choice. They just use the arguments of pro-choice to keep people who are pro-life and don't know how to argue the case at bay. The abortion industry isn't about pro-choice.
What's it about?
It's about the genocide of populations. It's about population control, and it's about making a lot of money and getting it federalized if possible, because if this new healthcare plan goes into place, it's going to get worse.
Imagine being able to pass laws that can strip away constitutionally guaranteed rights of citizens. I think we can all see where this can go. We're supposed to live in a society where we are all protected and we all enjoy the rights that are afforded to us by our Constitution. But imagine a tool in the place of an elite group that can say, well, we think the Constitution should apply to this group, but not to this group. And it's arbitrary. They can just make that decision. Well, you can imagine if this is something that's allowed to continue happening, we're unsuccessful in our attempt to overturn this, I can see in the future that we're going to be up against it, very much so.
Coming up, we'll learn what's next for Walter in his fight for free speech.
Whether you're a student needing answers, a parent needing help, or a concerned citizen wanting to make a difference, Life Issues Institute has the resources you need to put your values into action. Life Issues Institute is an international educational organization committed to protecting innocent human life. Life Issues Institute knows what it takes. That's why millions throughout the world turn here for help. Life Issues Institute has authored more pro-life publications than any other entity in the world. and its materials are printed in over 30 languages. Radio broadcasts, newsletters, and a website filled to the brim with the answers you're looking for are just a click away. Go to facinglife.tv and click on the link to Life Issues Institute to find out more about how you can change the heart of a nation.
Walter and Mike have now filed a civil lawsuit with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals challenging the constitutionality of the law. They're optimistic the court will recognize the law is viewpoint discrimination and rule in favor of free speech rights. Legal experts on both sides of the abortion issue agree the court's ruling could have profound effects on the free speech of all Americans. As Walter's fight continues, it galvanizes the pro-life movement as more people become aware of this issue. He remains hopeful as he persists in giving aid to women and their unborn children. How optimistic are you about the outcome?
Believe it or not, we feel very optimistic that the Ninth Circuit will see this ordinance for what it is. The Ninth Circuit is very jealous of free speech rights. A lot of people may say that they make mistakes, they're too liberal. Maybe that's true in some things, but in free speech,